Like so many other great singers, this man, Nikolai Massenkoff, got his start in a church, in his case a Russian Orthodox church located in, of all places, Shanghai, China. His father was a Mongolian, his mother a Russian gypsy who, like many thousands of others, had fled that country during the Communist Revolution. At the age of 2, Nikolai was placed in a Russian Orthodox orphanage in Shanghai, an orphanage where every day began and ended with religious services. At the age of 7, Nikolai sang his first solo with the orphanage choir.
I did enjoy being in the orphanage where you didn't get much attention. Every little extra stroke, it helped, and occasionally an old lady would slip me a quarter or a nickel and pat me on the head, you know, and all of that added up to quite a bit of sunshine under those circumstances.
Unfortunately for Nikolai and the other so-called White Russians exiled in China, the Communist Revolution swept that country too, and they were forced to flee again. For 2 years, Nikolai Massenkoff and the rest of the children lived in tents in the Philippines, waiting while the man who founded the orphanage, Archbishop John, struggled to find them a permanent home. Finally, at the age of 12, Nikolai and the orphans moved again, only this time they came to join the thousands of other White Russians who had already settled in the San Francisco Bay Area. Here, Nikolai grew up and began to study classical music and operatic singing. But he says the turning point in his life was when he decided to embrace his Russian heritage and founded the Massenkoff Russian Folk Festival.
Allows me to get in touch again with something that's been uprooted, the performance, the creating of the rushing spectacle with the folk dance and different moods, fast and slow, and expressing the joys and sorrow of the people. It's a kind of a catharsis that allows me to get together with my spirit.
In 1970, Nikolai visited his homeland and sang in a classical Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow, but he felt something was amiss. He was there in voice, but not in spirit. 8 years later, he returned to Russia and toured several cities, including Moscow and Leningrad, this time performing his interpretation of the traditional folk songs of his homeland. The Russian audiences were thrilled, as was Nikolai, but back in San Francisco, some members of the local Russian community who reject any contact with Soviet communists were angry. These people still shun Nikolai at social gatherings.
I am from the community. I came with them, so I do notice it, and it's not very pleasant. But I made up my mind growing up a long time ago that I could not be limited by that framework. I was Russian, but I was in America. I got the American education, and I was a free person.
Nikolai and his Russian Folk Festival draw many ethnic Russians to his performances, but increasingly he's finding that most people in the audiences are non-Russians who simply want a taste of the colorful heritage of his homeland. Nikolai Massenkoff's Russian Folk Festival, for audiences an entertaining look at another culture. For Nikolai and his performers, a fulfilling way to understand and express themselves.